Hey guys, I got another movie review for you, and this time I'm gonna review Inside Out. I was gonna review the Minions, and I might get to that later on. Did also see that movie, and I liked it. It's another movie where I kind of don't understand the critical, backfire on that movie. I kind of think they missed the point. But perhaps it is because of the movie is being released at the same time as Inside Out, which I feel is a far superior movie. And that's no discredit to the Minions. I still think that's a pretty funny, clever movie, but as funny and clever as it is, Inside Out is just that much more funnier. That's a little bit improper grammar there, but anyway, funnier and more interesting, and it's definitely there's more creativity to it just overall. And that's not to bash the Minions, but the thing is, it's like a movie like this is very unique, and it's going to bear comparisons because it's being released at the same time as another animated movie, but this movie really was a great emotional ride. It was a really entertaining story. It basically centers around the girl Riley, and it shows you the inside of her brain. When I saw the trailer for this movie, it kind of reminded me of an old show called Herman's Head, which anybody who was not born around the same time as me is probably just going to be, or earlier, is going to be totally lost by that reference. That was a show in the 90s. I'm sure that I didn't really watch that much, but it had a very unique idea. It would show you the inside of the head of a goofy person, and basically it was kind of interesting to see the thoughts that a guy like this would have. I don't know if it drew inspiration from that. That's not the only time that they have shown the inside of a character's brain and the inner workings and the thoughts that they have in that brain, that mind. But they did that here, and we explore a lot of different emotions like happiness, the joy to be more exact, sadness, anger, fear, and basically the character Riley goes on an emotional ride. There's a lot of things that happen, and the first part of the movie we're made to think that sadness is a bad thing, and sadness is a character, and all these emotions I named are actually characters. And one of the most clever casting decisions for anger is Lewis Black, the angry comedian being Anger. I thought that was just really clever. I thought that was a nice little nod to irony right there. That was pretty ironic. It's not really that ironic that they cast it was intentional, but I thought that was a pretty good choice. And so it's a very zany adventure, but it never gets too zany. It seems like it really maintains a very serious tone to a point where it's never too serious where it's uncomfortable because it's a kids movie. But this is definitely a movie where I kind of felt that not all children are going to appreciate it. They'll appreciate the animation and some other things, but I felt like this movie was definitely geared towards a older audience. There's a lot of depressing parts of these movies, and that's not negative at all. I mean, the voice acting is just phenomenal in this movie, and it really just it kind of puts some real life dramas to shame even. The movie got me emotional, and rightfully so. I mean, it was very engaging. The characters and the entire storyline and just all the events written into the script were just, everything was just laid out pretty much perfectly. Couldn't really see too many criticisms about this film, to be quite honest. I mean, it was executed quite brilliantly. It really was. There isn't really another movie to compare this to, which is something that I've been asking for the longest time, and a lot of other fucking movie buffs, fans, reviewers here on YouTube have been asking for something like this too for a very long time. A unique idea, an idea that hasn't been done to death, an idea that seems creative and is fun and is engaging, and is not something that you want to roll your eyes at. And that's exactly what they gave us here, and I'm pretty appreciative about that. A really unique story that's thoroughly captivating. You're engaged in the main character, even though she's a child, and even though the story doesn't focus mainly on her, but her emotions and how her emotions, affect her in life. But we learn a lot of interesting things about sadness and anger and joy and how they all relate together. We learn that sometimes being overjoyful is not really the way to solve everything. That being overly positive is not always the best route. Sometimes it takes a little bit of sadness. Sometimes it takes a little bit of other emotions to really successfully analyze a problem. We learn that here, and that's these are things that are a little bit that are kind of uncomfortable for a lot of people to listen to talk about. A lot of people are not in touch with their own emotions. They feel uncomfortable about talking them. And here you go, and you've got a movie that really takes a big risk here. It's a family film, and they're really using a very unique platform here. Family film. You'd expect this out of like a regular R-rated drama or something, but no, they're going right for the gusto here. They're going for the family films for everybody. They want everybody to be exposed to this, and I think that was a pretty smart move. This is something that kids, if they're not too young, could really wrap their heads around this and really see the message that's kind of being told here. It's really a message about life. It's really something that talks about depression and how people handle things and their problems, and sometimes certain emotions which are looked down upon are sometimes very helpful and the best, and we learn that. And that's probably the most interesting thing we see here, is the relationship between joy and sadness, and how they kind of draw a really negative overall outlook on sadness, and they make almost sadness out to be the villain at first, and then you see later on that she's anything but. And the way how they just go about this is just they go about it flawlessly, and it's done so tastefully, and just all the right elements were in place for this film. As I said, I truly felt this movie. I got the feels, you could say, because it was one of those movies that really spoke to me. Those are really the best films that really engage you, and just they're just engaging is what they are. They keep your eyes glued to the screen, never any moments of boredom, and I think that's the thing. This is a movie that deals with real life problems while putting it in a fantasy setting, where there's creatures running around the little girl's brain, but it really doesn't feel like that. It doesn't really feel like the kiddie movie. It doesn't really feel like that too much, and it deals with a lot of real life issues and problems, and I truly didn't expect that from this film. I thought when I saw the trailer, I thought it was a hilarious idea. I thought it was a unique concept. I was laughing. I particularly liked when they showed the inside of the father's brain in the trailer. But then I saw it was way, way more than just a movie trying to get some laughs by, there goes the goofball dad, thinking about sports and stuff like that. No, it was way, way more than that. And that's the thing. Once again, trailers are very misleading. They can make good movies look bad and bad movies look good. It can work either way. And I've noticed that a lot of times. Going by the trailer is probably the worst thing you could do when it comes to being a fan of movies. It really is the worst thing to judge a book by its cover, because you want to say the cover to a movie might be the movie poster, but take it one step further and say that's the trailer. It's kind of like reading the book jacket. It's just very uneventful. You're going to read it and be like, oh, that doesn't sound interesting, but it really could be the most riveting read you ever had. That's exactly how it is like this movie. You look at the trailer, it looks entertaining, it looks cute, and then you realize it's so much more. This movie gets a definite recommendation from me. This is a movie that needs to be seen, thought about, analyzed. I feel like this is a movie that we could come back to for quite some time for psychological advice even. It's like it's a psychologist of sorts of movies. It's here to analyze the human brain, kind of offer suggestions of certain aspects of human behavior. We learn about sadness, we learn about joy, and we learn about ourselves. And I just thought that this was a pretty good movie. It really was, and it really surprised me. I was expecting a lot less from it. I didn't really expect it to be on the level of a modern-day classic, but I definitely have to say this is probably one of the best animated films I saw in quite some time. I thought The Minions was good. Then this came along, and, well, it made me think a lot deeper than The Minions did. And it's probably why a lot of critics are bashing The Minions, and that's really uncalled for. Probably because, it doesn't have that type of emotional quality to it, but they really weren't going for that. So we have to remember that when we compare things, sometimes it's not fair to compare things to other things, like a movie to a movie. You wouldn't compare a comedy to a drama, and you wouldn't compare a drama to an action film, or anything like that. So there you go. This is definitely a movie is a comedy, but it's a lot more than that. It's not just goofball animated film with zany stuff and dynamite blowing up and people falling off cliffs. It's quite a bit more than that, and that's why it gets my recommendation.